Rooster Tail Talk, the podcast dedicated to everything about the sport that we all love, hydroplane racing. I am your host, David Newton, and it's time once again, so sit back, relax, and welcome to Rooster Tail Talk. Hello, race fans, and welcome back to the show. Today is July 28th, 2026, and this is episode 191. Now, for today's episode, we're doing a quick check-in with Brandon Kennedy, driver of the GP35 and the Grand Prix American Series, as well as driver of the U6 Royer Presents Miss Madison for the H1 Unlimited Series. Now, Brandon's a busy guy. He's one of the selected few that are running both in the H1 Unlimited Series and the GP Grand Prix American Series. So, needless to say, he's got some special talent behind the wheel. And we're going to do a quick check-in. I actually checked in with him shortly after the Madison race and Valleyfield race and talked about how his season was progressing, some of the speeds he's showing with the GP35 and the Grand Prix American Series, what went on behind the scenes over the winter with both the GP team as well as the U6 Miss Madison, and what to expect more from the rest of the series from him. Now, he started off with a bang, winning in Madison for the Grand Prix American Series, and he actually won again a couple days ago over in Tri-Cities with pretty dominant fashion. He's got a fast boat, and I'm excited to see what else he can do this year, as he visited Tri-Cities for the first time a couple days ago, and he'll be in Seattle for the first time this weekend. It's going to be a bumpy course out there. I think his team and the GP team is ready for it. We'll see if the H1 team is ready for it as well. I think that's going to be an equalizer being on some rough water, because over in Seattle, you have those parallel rollers, as well as it just gets lumpy and messy out there. So it's going to be some fun racing to watch. Now, this interview took place shortly before Tri-Cities, so he's not going to talk about his experience in Tri-Cities there, but it's going to be a fun talking about how the season started and progressed for Brandon and his teams. So let's jump in and listen to my interview with Brandon Kennedy. I'm sitting down talking with Brandon Kennedy. Brandon, how are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. Just gearing up for the next races after a long 3-week stretch.
Yeah. Yeah, you've had a busy schedule. I'm glad we got a chance to chat a little bit about how the season's gone so far. It's early on, but it feels like it's probably been months in the taking, right?
Just a little bit. It feels like we've been racing all season, but that's all right. That's what we sign up for.
That's right. That's right. Well, I know you had a busy offseason. I want to talk to that first before we talk about Madison or Valleyfield. Can you talk a little bit about the work that went on to the Miss Madison? I really appreciate all the Facebook feeds and the social media posts you had, but it looks like there's a lot of work that went into the Miss Madison in the offseason.
Yeah, definitely. It was a whole team effort from that whole team out there in Madison, Indiana. As we'll touch on the social bit of first, as Joe McCord did a great job coming on board, getting some interviews with Trey, just kind of updating the fans. We feel like that's been a missing link to the H1 Unlimited side of things for a long time, and even some of the limited inboard. We get into that winter, and that's when most of us race fans or racers want to see content because we're bored and we're itching to go racing, and a lot of times we all kind of drop off through the winter. So I'm proud of Joe for kind of stepping that game up, being out there, being able to get to the shop, seeing the work go done. And then aside from that, I mean, that big group out there worked so hard. I think they said 3 55-gallon drums of paint they scraped off. Went through the entire boat. Obviously, Madison last year, we were patching some things here and there. So we went through the entire boat, made sure all the patches were done correctly over the winter, and then just went through all systems. Last year, we only had, I think, a couple months to prepare. This year, we had a good 6 to 8 months. So it was a nice break. Everyone seemed to gel. The crew got to be able to have hands on the boat all winter long, learn more of the elements. Last year was kind of trial by fire for a lot of them guys that have never been around boat racing before. So it showed as soon as we got to Salina for the quick little test session. We had our issues off the bat with getting up on plane, but that seemed to be resolved. But just seeing how well the team gelled was really impressive for me. And then obviously taking that into Madison was pretty cool too.
Yeah, I mean that is huge to get the team to be able to gel, and it's such a short season. I mean, you have their shop time, but working in the shop is so much different than working at the race site, right? Like it's really important to have that team gel and that cohesion, so I'm glad to hear that it's starting to form already.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Trey's done a great job. I think last year he had some learning things to do, being forced into that crew chief role. Just have seen him blossom over the past year or two as like more of a leader, making sure things are done this way. That way, everyone's got their certain jobs on the boat. And yeah, just there's probably 4 or 5 guys that have never been around a race boat ever. So they're on the biggest and the baddest in the country. So they're learning quick.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. Well, I know not only are you driving the U6 Royer, Miss Madison, but you're also driving the GP35. Can you talk a little bit about the preparations in the off season, because that seemed like that boat was just ready to roll in Madison?
Yeah, I mean, we did a lot to the boat over the winter. Obviously, we had the escape hatch issue, so that was more of a big job. My dad built a whole CNC aluminum escape hatch, make sure it doesn't fail ever again. But we had the whole left side decks off the boat, tying some things up. We've been running this boat hard for the past 3 4 years. It was our first boat ever assembling in house. Obviously, Bert Henderson does all the pieces, but we built that one, put all the sponsons on decks, all that good stuff. So we're just learning every time we take it apart just to see what's cracked, what needs fixed, what needs strengthened. So it was pretty much a winter of work done in probably 3 or 4 weeks because I was also building a 350 hydroplane at the time. So that one got pushed aside and we threw it back together here at the end. That's why some of our merch and stuff was delayed because we were waiting on wraps. But yeah, the boat's been awesome since it was out of the box. We just keep making little changes to it. We made some this winter that definitely paid off as soon as we got to Brockville. We knew they were working. Kind of had to adjust on it a little bit here and there, but yeah, Madison was pretty cool to see the speed improvement from last year.
Yeah, yeah, it was pretty noticeable, the speed increase. It's fantastic. Well, let's talk about going to Madison. That was the first race on both the H1 Unlimited schedule, Grand Prix America schedule. What did it mean to be back in Madison in front of that hometown crowd? And I know you're racing two different classes, but even though the GP is not a Miss Madison race team, I'm sure everyone was cheering for you in that as well, right?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely seemed to have a little bit more fans with the Grand Prix, but it was incredible. We got there, I think Wednesday, got to go to the Royer factory. That's right there. I mean, three
Oh,
blocks
cool.
up from the river. So got to meet all the employees and everyone and see exactly what they do. It was really cool. See all their injection molding process and joints and balloon weights they make, all these different things that you would never imagine that come out of there. Was really cool to just kind of connect with our sponsors a little bit more, meet everyone, and then push that into the weekend. And I said it during awards there in Madison is when someone asks what it means to drive the Miss Madison, and every time I hear it, I get goosebumps still to this day. It's just the town is incredible. The fans are passionate. They don't let you slip. So there's
Yeah.
good and bad when you post or you miss a start, which I did that there. But all in all, they're behind that boat, and I think they're proud of the boat. I think the sale and all that went negative, but I think the way it's turned out to where the boat's back in Madison, the team is a Madison-based team. Our
Yeah.
sponsor is now based in Madison. It's turned around to a really cool thing, and I think we're honestly going to get the speed over time, but we're getting back on our feet and we're going the right direction.
Yeah, yeah. It looks I mean, you had a better experience this year than last year, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we finished all 4 heats. We hit a log. That was pretty exciting. That was the hardest last lap I ever drew. But I'm like, this is my last heat to be qualified. I'm finishing this heat. So. But yeah, everything went smooth. And to make the final in the Gold Cup, I mean, the 11 and the 40 are good boats. They've been doing this a long time.
Yeah.
Obviously, they had their struggles, which helped us get to that trailer position. But it was just cool to make the final.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm glad the race went off. I mean, there were so many obstacles that were there for for the flooding upriver, the debris, and all those issues. And thankfully, that when you hit the log, that it didn't do more damage than it did.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't think people understand that don't go there, haven't went there past few years. Is like the amount that race committee has to go through each year because of either debris or the wind or anything like that. It's just the middle of the country. You never know what's going to be thrown at you. The heat, I mean, it's the hottest race we go to all season. So, I mean, just the committee gets it done. They're trying to gel multiple organizations with H1 and GPA and HPBA with the smaller boats, and trying to make all that work as in one series is difficult on them, but they seem to figure it out to get it done.
Yeah, and I was worried it was going to be canceled there, but they made it happen. So hats off to the organization and everyone there in Madison to make that race happen, because I know that was not an easy task. All right. Well, you drive two different, completely different hydroplanes, right? You have the GP35, the U6 Unlimited. How different is it to jump, and difficult is it to jump back and forth between the two boats?
This year was a little bit easier. Last year, when I jumped out of the Unlimited after doing all those laps trying to get qualified and into the Grand Prix, I thought something was wrong with my boat. The vibrations are just a lot more. The motor noise obviously is a lot louder.
Yeah.
And when you get out of the boat, the Unlimited's only about probably 6 foot overall bigger, but it's a lot heavier. So it sits in the water, it floats and all that, where the GP, you're kind of getting bounced around a little more. It definitely was a lot easier this year, kind of knowing what each boat was going to do and just kind of get my mindset right. We had some heats in between, which helped just kind of get back on the timing marks, things like that are different. And the acceleration's a lot different. The GP gets up and goes. Unlimited, you kind of gotta plan out your marks to get to the start. And this year, starting on the front line was finally my first time to be like, all right, now I can start to understand how these starts go. They're more of like a modified inboard hydroplane that you gotta know your marks and get going before we're in the GP. Kind of hit the exit pin, you know your mark there, and you just start rolling from there. It's unique to drive both for sure. It's a lot of work on my body, and especially in that heat of Madison. But all in all, it's pretty good. The GP is, you get no breaks in the 4 lap heats, and the Unlimited, at least the straightaways, you get a long time to kind of take a little break before you hit the G forces of the turns.
Yeah, you have a bigger course, and I just imagine everything about the whole process is a little bit different because it's the power to weight ratio is so much different, and the size. It's a marvel, I think, to be able to do that. And Greg Hopp was very successful for many years doing that, but not too many people have.
Yeah, you got to have a good team around you. I mean, I usually do a lot of the data and stuff on the GP and things for tune-up and stuff like that, propeller choice. But for Madison, I kind of had to let somebody else take control of it. That way I could focus on just jumping back in the other boat or just working with the team and debriefing. That's more of the struggle, I would say, is just trying to find the time between heats to make sure you're doing the right thing for each team, but then focusing on the next one.
Yeah, definitely. Well, it's a tall order, and you're able to do it, and then you're able to do it very successfully with the GP. It was fast at Madison. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It was fast, and it was noticeable on the water. I mean, you qualified almost 126 miles an hour, about 20 miles an hour faster than the second qualifier. I mean, throughout the heats, you showed your speed. What do you think led to that increase in speed? Was it just all the preparation you had in the off season?
Yeah, probably a lot of that, and just kind of we're getting that, but a little bit more dialed in, propeller wise, gearing wise, things like that. I think the water conditions were much better this year than last year, so that's why I think I was 7 mile an hour faster this year in time trials than last year.
Yeah,
and just knowing the boat, I think we have the courses out here pretty well figured out. Unfortunately, the Luptons weren't able to make it. I know they would be tough, especially Jackson, but it's super fast. And I think in time trials was a little bit of not as fast for the 10 because he hit a huge roller. So it's hard to go off the time trials. Some guys push it real hard, some guys don't. They just live to fight in the heat. So we just were lucky enough to kind of make it to the final. We were in a tight lane in lane 3. But everybody else kind of made mistakes and made it easy on me there.
We'll be back after a quick break.
Are you enjoying the podcast and want to show your support? Well, now you can with Rooster Tail Talk Plus. This is a new subscribing service for our podcast where you can sign up for a monthly fee and help us to create and grow more content for Rooster Tail Talk. If you subscribe today, you'll get chances for monthly raffle prizes, extra content, early release to new episodes, as well as much, much more. This is a new service, and we'll be adding more to it as we move along, but your support is appreciated. As you can imagine, running a podcast can be pricey as costs increase for hosting fees, website fees, travel, equipment, and much more. With your support, you can help make sure we have new content coming to you every week and make this a better place for talking about hydroplane racing. You can find the link to be a subscriber in the bio of the episode, as well as on our website, roostertailtalk.com.
Please support the show.
Yeah, it was fun to watch, and like you said, race water is so much different than qualifying water. I think it's a good equalizer on a lot of things. But in one of your earlier heats, you brought the boat back, and it was smoking pretty bad. And I was talking to a friend that was down on the docks down there, and they said it smelled pretty bad. I was just curious what happened in that heat.
We fought some oil pressure issues at the end of the time trials, and then we changed the oil and did a few maintenance things to try it again. And we had an oil line clogged in that warm-up session, so when it clogged, it busted. And the oil just got on the headers. The motor was still running, still in one piece. Just kind of oil line failure. So I was bringing it in anyway. It shut off, and we just switched motors to our other motor, and everything was smooth sailing from there. So I think everything's good with the motor, but our motor builder, Marty Wolf, will let us know whenever he goes through it.
All right. Yeah, hopefully, fingers crossed, you didn't break anything bad on that, and it was just an easy fix for you. Well, I do want to talk about that final heat. You said you were in a tight lane 3. Is that the lane that you would have wanted to start in the final, if you got to choose?
I always like lane 1 or the outside, just because there's no. You're in your own lane. You only got one guy to worry about, those kind of things. Lane 3, you got people that can get up there early, and they did jump the gun. So as they jumped the gun, my lane was starting to close up, and I was like, oh no. I knew I had the fast boat, but those are the moments where you can't control the outcome. You trust the racers, and I did. I was able to shove it through there. Brent and forget who else it was, Kevin, wound up opening their lane. They just made it really tight and scared me for a second. But yeah, lane 3 is a tough spot. You saw it up in Valleyfield with Andrew trying to shoot the middle. It's you got to trust the people around you and trust your equipment, and try to get through there.
Yeah, it's a huge amount of trust. That's for sure. Yeah, because you just start lane 3. You were outside of the Freak with Kevin Ekrate in lane 2. Greg Hopp was in 1. Yeah, but thankfully you made it through. And it was a hometown victory, I think, in a lot of ways, because you're the driver for Miss Madison, although it's the GP. How exciting was that to start the year off with that victory?
It was definitely cool. Just pulled over after the finish and I got a new thing where I try to get out of the boat while it's running, and it was waved to the fans. I think that's a lot of things where we kind of missed out in the sport, is that fan engagement after the win. Oh, yeah. I did donuts up in Brockville, but with Valleyfield coming up after Madison, I decided not to do that. But yeah, it was just see them all cheering, and then all the high fives later on when we got up to awards and stuff. It's cool to have that town support you, and obviously they come to awards, which not every event do you have your fans come to awards with you. It's usually just us crew members, but they're all standing outside that fence cheer, and it's really neat.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I love to hear that you're trying to bring something else, with getting your the cockpit open and getting out a little bit where you're coming in, because 40 years ago, it was all open canopies, right? Open cockpits. So you could see the drivers, and there's that lack of engagement now because you can't see the drivers in those enclosed canopies. But
that's what we just try to post as much on board as we can. I think a lot of fans, and we notice it with TKO and Chasing Tails, is that when you put the onboards of like showing us, they can't believe how much we move around in the cockpits and how
Yeah.
much vibrations they are. So just try to get that out more to the people so they see what elements we're going through.
Yeah. Yeah. 'Cause you're going through a lot. You're trying to race and look at the gauges, and I'm sure it feels like you're being shook and
Oh yeah.
shaken pretty hard. Well, you got with the donuts though. You got to promise me that maybe you can bring that out west, because I've only seen one person do it in a hydroplane. It was Terry Troxel 25 years ago. So I want to see that again.
Yeah, we might have to wait for Seattle before we're about to come home, but we'll see what we can do.
All right. All right. Well, you didn't really have much time off. I know we were trying to connect in between Madison and Valleyfield, but I mean, you're jumping right into a race, so it's not like you had a week off, right? You had to get up to Valleyfield, prepare, and go through all the preparations of another race. It didn't go as well as Madison, but can you talk a little bit about the fans, how your experience was up in Valleyfield?
Oh yeah, Valleyfield's always one of the coolest places to go to. Before I went to Madison, it was the top spot. Now Madison's kind of right there with it. The fans are just so knowledgeable. They love the sport. They understand it. I'll have half the time they'll tell you went wrong, what you did wrong, and you're like, "Oh, yep, you're absolutely right." Or and just, I mean, even there, the time trials are really cool. You got all the fans betting on who's going to be the fastest or if this person's going to lift. And this year they made that kind of more of an actual thing. They had, I think it was Bet 99 up there. So it was actually mobile app betting instead of
Oh
just
wow.
cash betting up in the stand. So that was really unique to see it wasn't cool to see my odds decrease through the weekend, but that is what it is. We
Yeah.
made a comeback for the final, but yeah, it's one of them races that's so big. Everyone, I mean, the Luptons come over. That's their main goal is to win that one, and everybody kind of elevates their game when you go there. We had the speed, we had everything there. We just ran into some electrical issues. Just part of the sport. Sometimes when you're on top, it comes crashing down quick. But we're proud of the speed we had for sure, especially the final. Coming from a trailer, second place was
Yeah.
impressed myself. I was driving with my whole heart in that one. Just trying to give the fans a show. So I think it was exciting. Definitely rebounded the weekend, and we got a better feeling coming out of there.
Yeah, yeah, it was pretty low, but then you won that last chance heat, or the Connie, whatever you want to call it, and we were able to finish second. It's a very strong finish for how things were starting out for you.
Yeah, for sure.
But there was some onboard footage though of the GP35. I just thought it was pretty intense because you could see the shorelines are just packed there in Valleyfield.
Yeah.
I mean, go from like a different race site that maybe it's not as many in attendance, and going to that. Does that do something to you? Does that crowd impact you at all when you're out there racing?
No, it's again. I've always made it since I was driving T-boat. Now up to Grand Prix, is I've made it just more about them. Like they're a part of what I do, part of the race. Every time I go out, I run the outside and kind of wave to the crowd through the cockpit window. It doesn't really stress me out more because I know the competition's the part that stresses you out. You know, everybody's on their game. Everything's going to be faster. The water's super rough. It's just a unique venue to have fans on both sides. You're in this tiny little hole, and when you get a 6-go final out there, it gets rough. By the time you take the start, the waves are like 3 or 4 feet. Turn two, you can just see them crashing because we're kind of making a tidy ball effect. It's just one of the coolest places to go race, and luckily I've had much success up there. I think I've won 10 times up there. It's been a pretty cool journey. And I got engaged up there, so that was pretty cool too.
Yeah, just a few things to make it sentimental for yourself.
Yep.
Yeah, well, I just think about, maybe drivers who haven't experienced that and gone up there for the first time. I could see that being kind of intimidating. So I've coached for a while, basketball and football, and I always have those students who are getting nervous when it goes from practice to being in front of a stadium and people are watching them. So I just always feel like could be some sort of intimidation factor there.
Yeah, definitely. I'm sure the people that go up there and haven't been there, it's you roll out of the pit area and because you're kind of tucked in a cove where the pit area is, and when you roll out of there, it's kind of like it's a surreal moment to pull out and like it's probably boat racing's greatest stage with the fans on each side and give you that feeling. Even down there's a point down there in turn two that's kind of off, but that's Party Cove down there. So if you go over there, you never know what you're gonna see.
Okay. Well, yeah, I saw some pretty interesting photos that were posted online. I won't discuss here, but yeah. All right. Well, all that's done now, and you're heading out west here pretty shortly. Going to be out in Tri-Cities and Seattle, and it was just announced. I mean, not only you're going to be racing the Royer, Miss Madison, but you're also going to be driving the GP35 out here.
Yep.
And so, how do you feel about coming out here? Because I don't believe you've raced on either race course. Is that correct?
Nah, I've only been out there to Yelm with my T-boat back in the day, so I'm excited. Got some insights from Jimmy this weekend on how the courses are. He said Seattle's super rough, so that was kind of intimidating. Being we just were in Madison, and Madison's super rough,
Yeah.
especially as a trailer. But I'm excited. I think it's more everything's set in stone. You don't have the river or like Madison does, the debris, things like that. The race courses are a little wider, so I think it's going to give me a great sense of learning the unlimited. Um, I think the biggest goal for me is just kind of getting better at flying the boat, getting more comfortable. The speed's there. I think we're going to try to compete with some of those guys like the 11 and Gunner and stuff like that.
Okay.
It's gonna be real tough to catch the BWR and strong guys. They've been doing it a long time, have a good crew, good parts, all that good stuff. But yeah, we're gonna be in the hunt for sure. I'm excited for that one. And yeah, just get more seat time in the boat. And like I said, it's totally different than the Grand Prix. So just trying to learn it a little bit more.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially with a short season, it's anytime you can get out there and get laps. It's crucial to get used to the equipment, get all those nuances settled in. But it's going to be, I think Tri-City is going to be a fast course for you. So I'm excited to see how you can do. And I'm glad to hear you're going to be sticking your nose in there.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But what about with the GP? Running that on Tri-Cities, it's going to be a wider course. You're going to will you have to set up things much differently? How do you anticipate that going for the GP35?
I think we'll be okay. I think we've run long straightaways. Gunnersville was a good test for it. I know it's a mile and 2/3 versus a mile and a quarter, so there's some different things we need to do in the engine to make sure longevity's there. But we have some pretty big propellers and bigger gears to change out for out there. I'm going to keep the boat setup pretty much the same. I'm really comfortable in the way the boat flies and my ability to keep it on the water with the wing. So if something arises and we need to change balance or change strut angles, anything like that, we'll definitely do it on the fly. But I'm pretty confident that it'll go pretty well and just hopefully stay in one piece for the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, it'll be crucial to keep it all together. And what about San Diego? Do you have plans for Royer, Miss Madison, or the GP35 to make it down there?
Nothing yet. I think it all depends on how the next 2 weeks shake out, points wise for both boats. If
Yeah.
we're in the hunt for a podium or whatnot, maybe we'll go out there. For the unlimited, it's a lot more work for them with the saltwater scoop and all that stuff. And we would have to get the parts from Dave Bardish. We have pretty much everything to run the normal courses, but we'd have to get all
Okay.
that set up. And it's really hard because that one for the saltwater with the unlimited, it really takes a big budget hit. Winter maintenance, electronics, all that stuff that could happen, and you don't want to end the season on that note if it's unnecessary. So we're going to address after and go from there. And as far as the GP, I know it's coming back east after Seattle. I think we might run Bournemouth with HRL, and then we'll see. It's all dependent on, like I said, the championship, things like that. And
Yeah.
I know there's been talks about it being a huge GP race this year, so we'll just see what happens.
Yeah.
Figure it out.
Yeah. Have you ever been down there for a race?
No, I have not.
Yeah, it's just beautiful down there. It's a fast race course. The saltwater it's a huge issue, right? And it's too bad that there's not like a race right after on freshwater where you can kind of
Yeah.
clear everything out, right? I think that would be fantastic. So,
Mm.
yeah, but it all kind of hinges on the next 2 weeks, right? I mean,
Ye-
could be in great shape or not as great shape.
Yep.
So
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, like I said, with the GP, we're traveling out with 3 engines, and hopefully we only have to use one. But being we're staying out there for the 2 weeks and we're way far away from home, we're just making sure we're prepared. And it's not even if we blow one, if there's something concerning, we just pull it and switch them and then address the issue later on instead of trying to run a hurt motor. Same with
Yeah.
Unlimited. We'll have a couple motors, couple gearboxes, but it's the sport is about going fast, but it's also about surviving, just trying to get to the next one.
Yeah. Play it smart and know when to push it to the limit when you need to. Well, this episode's going to air right in between the 2 races, between the Columbia Cup and Seafair. And so I just want to hear from you. Last question for you, because I know you got a lot going on. You're busy trying to get ready for these races. What will make it successful for you in the Royer Miss Madison Unlimited Hydroplane and the GP35 in Tri-Cities in Seattle?
I think success in Unlimited is just like we did in Madison, start to finish every heat, position ourselves to be in the final. I'm hoping with now being able to choose my lane, I'll be able to choose some inside lanes, just kind of get some more seat time and feeling inside of some of these guys and how to do the racecraft in Unlimited. There's a lot of different G forces, things like that, trust in your skid fin. I have 100% confidence in the GP, so I was getting that into the Unlimited. I'm just excited to keep learning. It's all progressing to the next one and keep amping up until hopefully we can take a swing at them in Seattle.
There we go. Love to hear it. Yeah, I think the rough water will be a pretty big equalizer over in Seattle. So wishing you luck, Brandon, and hope you have a great Tri-Cities Columbia Cup as well as Seafair in Seattle. And look forward to meeting you in person. I think this will be in person.
For sure. I appreciate it. We'll see you out there.
All right. I'll see you at the races. All right, knuckleheads. That's all the time we have for this week. And I hope you know, when I call you a knucklehead, I don't mean you're stupid. I don't mean you're an idiot. I mean it as an endearing term, as you are an equal and a friend, a fellow friend that loves the sport of hydroplane racing. So don't think it of as a negative thing. This is a positive thing. I don't always take things seriously. I like to joke and be silly. So when I call you a knucklehead, I mean that we're a friend and we're buddies and we enjoy hydroplane racing together. But like I said, that's all the time we have for this week. I'll have another great interview next week with someone from the Grand Prix American Series or H1 Unlimited. But I got to tell you, I'm exhausted from a great week over in Tri-Cities, Washington. I went over a week early as over in the lagoon, NAMBA held a national event for people racing radio-controlled hydroplanes and boats of all different sizes. There was gas, electric, nitro boats, monos, tunnel hulls, catamarans, hydroplanes, riggers, all different classes. I had a great time. It was a great race held by the local district over District 8 of NAMBA. It was so much fun. I got to meet so many people. But after that and the Columbia Cup from Waterfollies, I am exhausted and I need a couple of days to take a break before Seafair. I hope you're going to be down at Seafair. Hope I can see you there. And if you're a Rooster Tail Talk Plus subscriber, don't forget to ask for your cards while you're down there. If I missed you in Tri-Cities or in the upcoming Seafair Regatta, I will get those mailed out to you for the Rooster Tail Talk Plus subscribers. You'll get your hands on those trading cards sooner than later. But in the meantime, don't forget to check us out on social media. We're on Instagram, Facebook. We're also online at roostertailtalk.com. But that's all I have for you this week. So until next time, I hope to see you at the races.